Hello, everybody. I am Natasha Lester, and I'm very excited to be here for Better Readings. What are you reading segment today? I'm just going to chat for a couple of minutes while everybody comes and joins us in the comments. Make sure, as you guys know so well to do every week, let me know in the comments what you're reading, and hopefully, I reckon we'll have some similar books that we'll be reading at the moment. I've got a nice pile here just next to me. I'm actually my kids are all on school holidays here in Perth at the moment. I'm coming to you from Perth. So I've got a couple here that I'm planning to take away with me next week to a Queensland island. I think they look like amazing island holiday reads. So I can see there are some people joining us. Hello to Carolyn Manners. It's lovely to see you. And Sharon Hill is here as well. Thank you for joining us. We'll wait for a couple more people to join us before I dive into talking about my books, and everybody is coming in now. It's very good to see you all. Jane, hello. Johan is here as well from Australia. Jessica Gill, and Jessica is reading The Absolute book by Elizabeth Knox. That is one I don't know, so you'll have to tell us about that in the comments, Jessica, and let us know if you're enjoying it. Judy Commander is reading The Torrent by Danuka Mackenzie. Yes, I've heard that is fantastic. Danuka is a wonderful Australian author as well, so big shout out to her. Johan is reading Wolfpack by Will Dean. That's another one I haven't heard of. This is the other reason why I always love watching Better Readings, What Are You Reading segment, because I get lots of great book tips to add to my pile as well. So first of all, thank you very much to Cheryl and Jane and everybody at Better Reading for letting me take over What Are You Reading today. I promise not to break anything. I'll see how I go. It's so good to see so many people here. Hello to Rachel Harvey Crossley. I know Rachel from my Facebook too. I think I've seen her around there before, so it's lovely to have you here. Okay, so let me quickly dive into just letting you know who I am, because many of you may not know who I am and why I'm here. So I'm an author as well. You might know me generally kind of associated with writing historical fiction. So books like The Three Lives of Alex St. Pierre, that is my latest one, and books like The Riviera House. So I tend to write historical novels about brave women from history doing incredible things, that women who've been forgotten by history and whose stories deserve to be better known. But I'm here today because I'm actually very lucky to be having my very first book republished by the amazing people at Fremantle Press. So back in 2010, when I first started out in my writing career, I wrote 2 contemporary novels, so not historical, very different to what I write now. And this is my very first book. It was called What Is Left Over After. And as I say, it was published back in 2010. And it's now being republished with a beautiful new cover. And it's coming out at the end of this month, at the end of April, just in time for Mother's Day. So if you're keen to see where I started and how it all began, that is the book to look out for. It is quite different to my historical, so just take that into account. It's about a woman who flees her family in Sydney and ends up in a gorgeous place called Siesta Park here in Western Australia. And it's all about why she ran away and whether she can escape the ghosts of her past. But enough about me. Let us dive into talking about books that we are reading. There are so many here. Malvina Yock is reading I'll Leave You With This by Kylie Ladd. I love Kylie. She is a wonderful author. I haven't read that one yet, but I imagine you're enjoying that immensely. And I can see another amazing Australian author being mentioned there by Lisa King, who is reading The One and Only Dolly Jamieson by Lisa Ireland. I also adore Lisa's books, and that one is fantastic. Someone else is reading Lessons in Chemistry. That's Claire Cosgriff. I love Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, and I'm sure that you're enjoying it too. It's super funny and exactly the kind of book I love reading, about an amazing woman doing some quite remarkable things. So I'm sure you're enjoying that one too. So many incredible books. Julie Ascari is reading Mad Honey. That's Jodie Picoult, right? I read that a couple of months ago, back in January, I think, on the holidays. And that was, as Jodie always does, an amazing book about so many issues, and she just tackles them really well. So thank you, everyone, for sharing what you're reading so far. Please keep piling those books into the comments. And I will kick off with a couple of the books that I'm reading. I'm actually going to start with an audiobook, because this is probably one of my absolute favorite reads this year. I listened to the audiobook of Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. You can see the cover of that up there on the screen. And it's a little bit, when I try to explain the synopsis to people, it does sound a little bit odd because one of the characters is an octopus. But don't let that put you off. It's this beautiful story about a woman called Tova who is in her 70s. She's a cleaner at the local aquarium up in just out of Seattle. And she is kind of coming to this point in her life where she's starting to feel a little bit lonely and as if life is slipping away from her. And then Marcellus, the octopus in the tank at the aquarium where she cleans, forms this beautiful friendship with Tova. And it is honestly one of the most gorgeous books I've read in a very, very long time. So please give it a try. The talking octopus is woven so seamlessly into the book, and I guarantee you will absolutely love Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Has anyone else read it? If you have, let me know what you thought of it too. Oh my goodness, there are so many books here in the comments. It's so great to see so many people. Okay, I just saw, where did that one go? There we go. Julie Lamond is reading Homecoming by Kate Morton, which is such a nice segue because guess what I've got in my pile next to me? Homecoming by Kate Morton. I'm sure lots of you have rushed out and purchased this just like I did on the weekend because Kate Morton is such an amazing Australian author. We're so lucky to be able to call Kate ours. And this is her first book set in Australia. So I'm really keen. I haven't actually started this one yet. I'm saving this for my Queensland holiday next week. I'm going to be lying by a pool with Kate's book in my hand. As you can see, it's a nice thick one. So it's going to keep me very well occupied for all those hours of lounging by the pool. And I cannot wait to start it. I first read Kate years ago when I had just had my third child and I had this terrible chest infection and I was home in bed and a friend dropped The Shifting Fog in for me to read, and I have been in love with Kate's books ever since, as I'm sure so many of you are. Oh, Malvina has also read Remarkably Bright Creatures and she's recommending it too. Such love for the octopus Marcellus, she says, and I 100% agree. And Emma Fitzgerald is saying that Homecoming cover is gorgeous. Yes, isn't it just beautiful? The people at Allen & Unwin have done an amazing job with Kate's cover there. They always do. Now, there's a couple of people also I've seen who have mentioned Sally Hepworth in the comments too. Deborah Lloyd is reading The Mother's Promise by Sally Hepworth. And I'm sure I saw someone earlier who was reading The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. I'm just trying to flip back and see who that was. There we go. Sharon Hill, I found you back at the start there. Sally's another wonderful Australian author. We love Sally's books. If you haven't tried hers, make sure you go out and grab one. The Soulmate is a great place to start. It's sort of set around this family who live in this house on a cliff top where some rather strange things tend to happen. It's definitely a page turner. So what else have we got in the comments here that people are reading? Wow, okay, so many things. Someone else has met, Julia Scari's also read Remarkably Bright Creatures. Lots of you, I'm sure that you would have because it's such an amazing book. Here we go. We've got Julie Lamond has also finished and loved Homecoming by Kate Morton. So lots of Kate fans out there today as well. Alona Young is reading The Fancies by Kim Locke. That's one I haven't read, but I have seen that one around and that looks fantastic. Yvonne is reading Livid by Patricia Cornwell. I have not read Patricia Cornwell for such a long time. I used to adore her books, so maybe that's another author I will have to take another look at and get back into reading her books. Kate Jackson is reading The Bookbinder of Jericho by Pip Williams. I'm sure almost everybody here today has read The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip as well. And I can't wait to get my hands on The Bookbinder of Jericho as well. That's one that I'm going to add to my book stack over the next couple of weeks. So let's dive into another one that I have recently read, Duck à l'Orange for Breakfast by Karina Mee. Karina is another Australian author, and this book is just so much fun. So it's about a young woman called Maxine or Max, and she is in this kind of difficult place in her life. She's just broken up with her boyfriend. He's done something terrible. She needs to have brain surgery, which is obviously hugely stressful for Max. And so she decides to take the plunge into Tinder dating. And what ensues is this funny, sexy banter between her and the man she meets, Johnny, on Tinder. And they don't actually meet in real life. They just chat on Tinder and they work their way through a French cookbook, cooking all the recipes. So if you have any love at all for France and for French food and for super funny romantic banter, I can definitely recommend Duck à l'Orange for Breakfast by Karina May. Let me know if you've read that one as well. Let's see what else people have put in the comments here. Oh, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Barbara Hodges has mentioned that one. That was one of my absolute favorite books. Maybe last year or the year before. I'm trying to remember when that one came out, but that's one I can definitely recommend. A couple more people have mentioned The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. Deborah Lloyd has just said that she read that several weeks ago, and that got her started on her Sally Hepworth journey. Once you start that journey, you'll never want to leave that journey. And Helen Bolton has also really enjoyed The Soulmate. So that one's got quite a few votes there in our list as well. Okay, Sally Smith is reading The Red Gum River Retreat by Sandy Docker. I love Sandy. She writes some incredible books as well. So thank you, Sally, for suggesting that one to us too. Let me move on to the next book in my pile, which is Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I am a huge fan of Curtis Sittenfeld. Very first book of Curtis's that I read was Eligible, which is her contemporary retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And it is so, so funny. I laughed out loud through a lot of that book. And I love Curtis because she has this great range as a writer. She's able to tackle something super funny like Eligible, and then tackle in Rodham this kind of alternative future in which Hillary Clinton actually becomes president of the United States. And now she's gone into romantic comedy, which I am looking so forward to starting. So it's about a script writer who believes that there's a bit of a double standard going on in the world where gorgeous kind of men, average men often get romantically involved with beautiful women, but it doesn't work the other way around. So she's kind of tackling that trope head on, and I can't wait to see what she does with that one there. Okay. Oh, Natasha, someone else with my name. Hello, Natasha. Has just finished listening to Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus as well, and she loved that one too. It is such a great book. Oh, and Natasha has also mentioned Old Babes in the Woods by Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood, I have an entire shelf in my office devoted to Margaret Atwood books because I have always loved her. So I've actually got that one on my shelf too, but I haven't started it yet, and I'm really looking forward to it. Emma Fitzgerald has seconded Eligible by Curtis Sittenfeld as being super fun. So definitely, if you haven't read any Curtis before, Eligible is probably a really good one to start with, or you could pick up Romantic Comedy because that one has just come out. Okay, let's dive into a couple more of my books in my pile. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So I actually received this for Christmas because I had been seeing it all over Instagram, and so many writers who I really admire had put it on their best of lists for 2022. So I asked for it for Christmas, and I've only just started it because I've been reading so many books this year for quotes, for cover quotes and endorsements and things like that. I haven't had much time for getting through my own reading pile. Now, when I first saw the synopsis of this, I was a bit like, I'm not sure if this is going to be for me because it's about a couple of gamers, game designers, and I don't know much about that. But that's one of the things I love about reading. It takes us into places that we wouldn't otherwise venture in our own lives. And as I say, I've only just started it, a few chapters in, but it is fantastic. And I can 100% recommend Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow to you to add to your reading pile if it's not already towering like mine is. Let's take a look at what else people have added to the comments. Hello, Wendy Kendall. How are you? She has also given another vote to Lessons in Chemistry. It's been such a hugely popular book, and I'm sure so many of you here today have already read that one. And if you haven't, you absolutely 100% should. Oh, Better Reading has reviewed The Fancies by Kim Locke as well, and they've linked to that in the comments. So I did mention that one a little bit earlier. Make sure you check out their review of that book if you're interested in finding out more about that one. What else are you guys reading? I'll tell you what else I'm reading. Let's take a look at another one of my audiobooks. Who else out there loves and listens to audiobooks? I always have one on when I'm in the car. This is one that I listened to just a couple of weeks ago. It's called Mame by Jessica George, and you've got the cover of it up there on the screen in front of you. It's a bit difficult to show it to you on my telephone. This is such a great story. So the main character is born in London to Ghanaian parents, and her father is very ill, and she has been the main carer for her father. And as a result of that, she's lived this very sheltered life. And then suddenly her mother comes over from Ghana to look after her father, and she's able to kind of step out and step free and start experiencing firsts, like moving out of home for the very first time, having after work drinks with her friends for the very first time. And I guess you could call it a coming of age story. It's one I really enjoyed. So if that sounds like something you might too, check out Mame by Jessica George. I can absolutely recommend the audiobook version of that one. I found the narrator fantastic. I'm quite picky and choosy about my narrators, but this one was definitely wonderful on audio. So that's one I can recommend to you. Okay, what else have we got down in the comments here? Julie Lamond also listens to audiobooks and gets through so many books. Me too. I tend to listen to a lot of memoir when I'm doing audiobooks. And I don't listen to fiction as much, although I have recommended 2 fiction audiobooks to you today. There's something about particularly memoir, I think, when the person reading the story is the person who wrote the story, that I just think makes the whole experience so wonderful and immersive. Julia Scari is listening to Horse by Geraldine Brooks. Great. Yes, Geraldine is such an amazing author. And do you know, I haven't read Horse yet, and I must rectify that. Maybe that's one I should add to my own audio book list. In fact, Emma Fitzgerald has basically said exactly the same thing as me, that she loves listening to autobiographies on audio. Something about hearing the author's voice makes it all the more interesting. I agree, Emma. I think that just makes it feel like you're getting even more of an insight into the person than you get from the book. Okay, I've got a couple more on my pile here of books that I'm reading. It's a nice long pile, isn't it? So let's take a look at The Wakes by Diane Yarwood. I've only got a proof, so I've got the cover up there on the screen for you of what the actual book looks like. This is also, I think, going to be one of my favorite books for this year. Diane has written this beautiful story about a couple of funeral caterers, which maybe makes it sound like it could be a bit gloomy, but it's so funny and so warm. You know how you read a book sometimes and you feel like you're being wrapped up in a big warm hug? The Wakes by Diane Yarwood is a book that I would characterize as being exactly like that. And so being at funeral caterers, there is a little bit of a focus on food in the book too. And the chicken sandwiches that they make, by the end of that book, all I wanted was to rush out and eat a chicken sandwich. But I also wanted it to be as good as the ones described in The Wakes. So who else has read that? I bet a few other people out there have read that one too. It's one I absolutely loved. What else have we got in our list of comments over here that people have been reading? Jill Wright has just started East of Alice by Annie Seaton. I love Annie. She's a wonderful author too. I'm sure that you're 100% enjoying that one. Gail Lansdowne is reading the new Sarah Ferguson historical book and enjoying that too. Thank you so much for that recommendation. And Helen Bolton is reading Gone to Ground by Bronwyn Hall. Gosh, it's such a diverse list of books that everyone is reading in the comments there. I love seeing all these things. I'm going to be adding quite a few of these to my list as well. Alona Young has said that she loved The Wakes as well. And Better Reading, I've got a great review of that too, and they've linked to that in the comments. So take a look at that one. I've got a couple more to finish off with because I can see it's already 20 minutes has gone by almost. That went super fast. Very quickly, historical fiction. Obviously, I write historical fiction, so I love reading it. The Cuban Heiress by Chanel Clayton has just come out, and I've just realized that I've got a quote on the front cover here, just there, because I read and endorsed this quite a few months ago, actually. So it's about a jewel thief and an heiress who are on a cruise ship traveling from New York to Havana and back. And as you can imagine, put a jewel thief and an heiress together on a ship that you can't escape from, and fireworks ensue. It's dramatic, it's fun, it's page turning, and I'm a big Chanel Clayton fan, so I really, really loved that one too. And perhaps I'll finish up with one more. Is there anyone else whose books I've missed in the comments here? There's quite a few up here. I think Tars, is that how I say that? I hope I've said that right. Is reading Fatal Witness by Robert Brindisa. I probably said that wrong as well. I'm so sorry if I have. And Rosalind Breen. Oh, thank you, Rosalind, for saying that you love my books. It's always lovely to read. Rosalind is reading So Shall We Reap by Donna Leon, all set in Venice, and it takes you there. I'm actually off to Venice in November, so maybe I should read that as prep. And Annette Heslin, she's just finished reading Becoming Mrs. Mulberry by Jackie French. I'm also a big Jackie French fan. She writes some amazing historical fiction. So let me finish off with one last book, and then I will leave it over to you guys in the comments. My last one is one that's not out yet. It's called Dreaming in French by Vanessa McCausland. I know everybody here is a huge fan of Vanessa McCausland, just like me. This one's out in early July, and I've just finished reading it. And if, like me, you love anything set in France, you love a big sweeping tale that takes place over decades, it's about family secrets and mysteries coming to life in later years, then I can thoroughly recommend you should put Dreaming in French by Vanessa McCausland on your list of books to read when it comes out in July. Make sure you're first in line at the bookshop for that one. Okay, fantastic. Oh, and Gail's just said, as a retired funeral director, you must get hold of the wakes. Yes, you must. You will absolutely love it. You'll have all the inside running on exactly what's happening in that book. And Julie has said that she loves Vanessa McCausland too. I'm with you on that one, Julie. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me here today. Better Reading told me it would go by super fast, and it has. I can't believe it. Thank you for all of your wonderful suggestions. I'm so glad to have added all those to my list. And don't forget, my reissued book, What Is Left Over After, will be out in the next couple of weeks. If you read it, I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here, and take care and happy reading. And thank you.